Welcome to today's discussion where we will be focusing on 4-H scholarships. So my name is Jarrett Chung Smith and I am a Youth Development Specialist with the BC Ministry of Agriculture. And today I am joined by two expert panelists who I will introduce to you in just a few moments. So senior age 4-H members, along with recent alumni, have a great opportunity to receive assistance toward their future education by way of the 4-H BC Scholarship Program. In fact, last year, in 2019, 20 outstanding 4-H members in British Columbia were awarded scholarships totaling $56,000. So whether you are a 4-H member, parent, or leader, our goal today is to provide you with some information and resources to help you access these opportunities. All right, so considering you are watching this video, you are clearly interested in 4-H scholarships, but may still have a few questions. So over the next few minutes, we're hoping to answer some of those hot topic questions that you might have. So who is eligible for 4-H scholarships? What type of scholarships exist? How can scholarships help me? And how do I apply for scholarships? So to help answer these questions, we are joined today by two experts in this area. First, we're going to hear from Fred Stafford, and Fred is a 4-H parent and leader, but also a member of the 4-H BC Scholarship Selections Committee. So Fred has years of experience reviewing scholarship applications, and we'll be discussing different aspects of the application to keep in mind and how you can make the most out of your application. And then we'll also be joined by Hannah Bolton, and Hannah is a longtime 4-H member. She is a current 4-H BC ambassador, and she's also a 4-H BC scholarship recipient. So Hannah is going to tell us a little bit more about her experiences, along with how scholarships have been helpful to her current endeavors. So thank you to both Hannah and Fred for joining us, and we will we'll get back to them in just a few moments here. All right. So let's get started. The 4-H BC Opportunities Guide and Application Package, which is publication number 129, is the best resource available to help you access all the information on available scholarships, selection criteria, including eligibility and deadlines, along with the applicable application forms and required supplemental documents that are required to accompany your application. So we'll get into more details on these in a few moments. The 4-H BC Opportunities Guide can be downloaded by visiting the scholarships page on the 4-H BC website, which is listed on your screen there. I highly recommend you download a copy of the opportunities package while watching this video, as we will be referencing several pages and components of that. This will be your guide to gaining information on the available scholarships for the given year, as well as those application pages that you'll need to fill out and submit in order to be in the running for a scholarship. So do keep in mind that this resource is updated yearly in October to include the available scholarships in that given year. So opportunities change slightly year to year, so it's important that you download the current version each fall. So listed in the opportunity guide, again, are all of the available scholarships ranging from the eligibility criteria, dollar value, and things like that. So with that in mind, we can categorize 4-H scholarships into 3 streams, and I'd like to discuss each of those a bit now. So the first are provincial scholarships. These scholarships are awarded through application directly to 4-H British Columbia. So Fred will be discussing eligibility and application criteria a little bit later, but I did want to highlight a few of the requirements. So you must be planning to attend a post-secondary institution within the coming year. You must not have previously received a 4-H scholarship to be eligible for a provincial 4-H scholarship, that is. So while there are many scholarships available, we do want to provide opportunities to as many 4-H members as possible, so you may only be awarded a provincial scholarship once. Further, the application is applicable to all provincial scholarship opportunities. So what this means is that that you only need to complete the application form once, and you will automatically be applying to all of the scholarships available within the provincial scholarship stream. And lastly, a very important point here is the deadline for all of these specific scholarships are April 15th each year. Now, it's very important to know that this means that the application is received by 4-H British Columbia by April 15th, not postmarked. It must be in the office by April 15th. Next, we have our national scholarships, and there's several scholarships available through direct application to 4-H Canada. Eligibility and other criteria are very specific to each opportunity, but generally, in order to be eligible for these scholarships, you must be at least 16 years of age and achieved in 2 or more years of 4-H. Each of these scholarships is outlined in the Opportunities Guide, but we recommend that you visit the scholarships page on the 4-H Canada website, which I have listed on your screen there, for complete details and the appropriate application forms. One additional point to keep in mind is that past 4-H BC scholarship recipients are still eligible to apply for this stream of scholarships, so take advantage of these national opportunities. Further, again, check the details of each specific opportunities, as the deadlines will vary throughout the year. Our final stream, we consider other scholarships. These scholarships are offered by partners of 4-H and awarded through application to the specific donor. So 4-H has worked with various organizations and individuals to offer specialized scholarships specific to 4-H members, or scholarships that are well suited to 4-H members' experiences and education and career interests. Much like the national opportunities, the eligibility criteria and deadlines vary greatly, so check out publication number 129 to learn all about these opportunities. And similarly to the national opportunities, past 4-H British Columbia scholarship recipients are still eligible to apply for this stream of scholarships, so certainly take advantage of those opportunities as well. So with that, I will now pass things over to Fred, who will be discussing the various components of the provincial 4-H BC scholarship application. So over to you, Fred.
Thank you very much, Jarrett. What I'm going to be going over for you for the next couple of minutes are just some very important portions of the scholarship application end of things, in hopes of helping you to alleviate some of the common problems that can crop up as you're doing it. So what I'm going to start off with, and none of these are really full page shots of things, but they're going to be the important parts of these different pages as we're going along. The first couple are going to be prior to getting into the actual application, and then the rest will deal directly with the application itself. So what you see before you there to start off with is a listing of the member eligibility for the actual provincial scholarships. And Jarrett touched on them a bit, but I'll just reiterate them. Firstly, you must have achieved in 2 years within the last 3 years in 4-H. Then you must be registered as a 4-H member within the last 2 years. Also, must be completing grade 12 or completed grade 12 previously, and be planning to attend a post-secondary educational institute within the coming year. Now, also, as Jared had mentioned, you must not have previously received a provincial 4-H scholarship. But the thing that I want to draw to everyone's attention, applications that are not filled out in full and/or do not have all requested supplemental documents will not be forwarded even to the selection committee for consideration. So please, as you're going through, and you're going to hear me reiterate this several times because it is a very important point, you need to check and double check your application to make sure you have all of the information that's asked for. And then the final item, as Jared has mentioned, and you'll hear me mention it a couple of times, the provincial deadlines are firm, and applications must be received in the 4-H BC office by the deadline date. They don't go by what you have for a post-dated mark on your application. It's when they actually receive it. So if you're down to within a couple of days' time of trying to get your scholarship application sent into them, then you better be expecting to either courier it direct overnight or be jumping in a vehicle and getting it there before the close of business so that they have it. So that sort of covers our first one. So on to our second slide. And that's dealing again with the application instructions. And I just wanted to go over one part of it here with you. And that is, as you're going through, we repeat, submit all supplemental documents, and these will include things such as school transcript of marks or university transcript of marks. Make sure you have the different reference letters. Also that you have a completed budget, okay? A budget requires both income and expense. And there's a lot of times where we've seen things come through that only have one part or the other. And unfortunately, it needs to be both in order to be complete. Remember to do your essay and also your external 4-H credits. So those are your grade 11 credit, your grade 12 credit, the certificates, okay? We need a copy of those. If we don't have that copy of them, they won't be going on, okay? So applications that are not filled out in full or do not have all the requested supplemental documents, not only are they not forwarded to us, they're not in the running, you don't have a chance for getting a scholarship. So I can't stress that enough for you. On to our next item as we're going. You have basically on this one a checklist for you to go through. And the big red arrow at the side is trying to draw your attention to it. So this is put together for you to be able to go through and make sure nothing has been forgotten. I've read all the information related to the opportunity. I have legibly completed the application form, and we may wonder, okay, why are they saying legibly? Well, there's been different times when we've got forms in, we can't even read what is written down on the form. So if we can't read it, how are we ever going to process it? I've included that you make sure you have your email address and that that email address is active and is checked regularly, okay? I've included all additional pages necessary, including references, evaluations or cover letters, etc. Okay, the one I've included my check. Well, there's no registration fees for this, but this section also applies if you were trying to get on a trip. So that's why it's in there. I've answered the essay questions and attached them, and I've mailed my application form and materials to the correct location, allowing adequate time so that it can arrive before the deadline. Now, adequate time, just as a basic rule of thumb, if you're sending it via the mail, you better allow at least 5 business days for it to get there. I know they say, oh, 2 to 3 days. Don't go by that. You better give yourself at least 5 to allow for any foul-ups in the system as it's going forward. Okay, I think that ends the general part, so we'll move on into the actual scholarship application stuff now. So you'll see before you the first part of the scholarship application page. I haven't worried too much on the top. It's pretty self-explanatory, but a couple of parts that I did want to highlight a bit with you. When you're filling out the different parts of this form, one thing that will be of infinite help to you is if you have kept your personal record achievement book up to date, okay? Because all of this information that they're asking here in the first part, like your 4-H club participation, and then on to your 4-H offices and committee positions and going through the rest of things, all of that information can be found within that personal achievement record book. And it's a great way to find information and have it quite quickly on things. So that almost does it. One last thing on that one before I change. You'll notice where it says for the 4-H offices and committee positions, what they're looking for there is they're wanting the senior years only, okay? I know some people sometimes have a bit of a penchant for marking down every last thing they've done, and that's fabulous. We like to see it, but at the same point, all we're going to be going by is senior years from when you become a senior member from being a junior member. So try and keep that in mind for that one. Moving forward, on the next page, similar ideas with it. I think we jumped one extra one there on that one. Was there one possibly in between? May not have been, but anyway, on the opportunity participation portion, all I was going to say, when you're filling it out, make sure that you use only your senior years and only the highest level that you have achieved. So as an example, if you have been doing a speech and you started out at club level with it and you managed to go all the way through to provincials with it, please mark it in for the year and the event, but mark it in as being a provincial item, which indicates to us that you've gone through all the rest. You don't have to mark in each and every level for it. On the screenshot that we have up here next, what we're looking at on this is going through and finishing filling out where you're going or where you are hoping to go to university at. So we have that information. If in case we were in doubt, we could phone and check, make sure that you were there. But the main part of this one is dealing with the grade 11 and grade 12 external 4-H credits. As it says right on it, but every year we find there are a lot of people who miss this important step. We ask that you send a copy of your grade 11 and grade 12 transcript of marks, but also a copy of the 4-HBC issued certificate for your grade 11 and grade 12 certificates. And it comes out to you, you have it. If for some reason you have lost it, you could get in touch with Carla Berry with the Ministry of Agriculture in Williams Lake, who issues these certificates, and she can reissue one for you, okay? But without those certificates, if you have marked that yes, you have them, but you don't give us a copy of the certificate, you will not get any marks on our mark form for those items. A couple other things that we have here, and I'm just going to touch on them real briefly. The budget, okay? So you need to create the budget, as I've mentioned before, for your first or current year of post-secondary education. And in that budget, include all of your income and expenses in a chart, Excel spreadsheet. Those are the suggested ones, but whatever format you find most comfortable to do it in, but we need to have it showing your income and your expenses, and then a final line that shows what the difference is between them and proves your need for a scholarship. If you're sending me in a budget that in the end shows that after your expenses, you're still sitting on $10,000 to $15,000 worth of cash, how can I consider that showing a need for a bursary? So just a hint there, double check, make sure your numbers are complete for both sides and have it finished off. Remember to write the essay of approximately 250 to 300 words on the topic of my plans for post-secondary education. Within that, include your objectives and also not only what you are hoping to single track look at and go through, but make sure that you have something as an alternative in case that doesn't pan out. You get partway into it, you find you didn't like it. Any number of items can go sideways with things. And as a committee, we're always happy to see that someone has a backup plan. Remember that you need your 3 reference letters, so one from the community at large, one from your school, and one from your 4-H leader. And remember those copies of the external credits, okay? Without those, I can't stress it enough, you will lose marks, and those marks are critical for placement for figuring who gets what scholarship. I think we have one more slide here coming up. This is on the final page. So once you've gone through everything and you've done everything, I would suggest that your last step would be your 4-H club leader's verification on things. This is where you take it to your 4-H club leader and ask them to check your form to make sure that everything is complete and is there. Okay. If you take it to your leader and your leader says, oh yeah, sure, here, I'll sign this, and just signs it and hands it back, please give it back to them and say, excuse me, by signing this, you're saying that I've completed everything. Can you please go back and double check my application that I haven't missed anything? It's basically your final check on things prior to it going into the envelope and going through for 4-HBC and Vernon. So it is very important, A, that the club leader's signature is on it, but B, get them to double check so that it's the final mark and you're not just relying on yourself on it. You've got them to give it a check and make sure things are all okay. So other than that, I wish all of you good luck with your scholarship applications. And I'll turn it back over to Hannah, I believe now, to be able to give her end of things.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. So my name is Hannah, and I'm just going to be talking to you about like my experiences with scholarships and just a little bit about me. So I am the current Youth Advisory Committee representative for BC. I previously was the 4-HBC ambassador for the Kootenay region, and this is my 14th year involved with the 4-H program. I've been involved at a club to national level, going through like show and sales to ACQ and PCW to different national events. And currently I'm at the University of Alberta in my 2nd year of the Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, majoring in animal science. So we can go into the next slide, and that's so benefits of applying for a scholarship and receiving a scholarship. I found scholarships became a relief in my 1st year of university because it helps pay for tuition and books, and then you don't have to pay it back. I found that the tuition and the cost of education is going up, and it is extremely high, and just the thought of having some of it paid for me was really nice. So I spent the first and 2nd year, some of my tuition was paid, and that was through receiving different scholarships like my 4-H scholarships. And the more scholarship money you do receive, it decreases the amount of money that you will have to pay for your education. And this gives more time to focus on your studies, which is huge. By receiving scholarships, you do not have to worry about how you will pay back the portion, giving you essentially more time to focus on your studies. So then advice that I received when I was filling out applications and in grade 12 was usually the general theme for short paragraphs or essays were about my goals, values, and where I see myself in the future. So I was advised to write a base essay on who I am and what I aspire to do in the future. In my essay, I always had how long I had been in 4-H, the involvement I had in 4-H, and where I'm planning to go. And I would go on to say, I'm going to be studying for my Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, majoring in animal science. From there, I would say I am potentially seeing myself going into the production side of agriculture in either cattle or swine. Apply, apply, apply. I didn't get told that almost enough that I needed to apply for every single scholarship. And that's like the best advice that you could get, is apply for every scholarship, bursary, or grant that you fit into the category, or you have qualities or attributes that are close to what they are looking for, as lots of scholarships do go unclaimed. So if you never apply, then you would never know. It's well worth the time and effort to apply for scholarships. For example, at my old high school, there have been years where there's 270 plus grads, and only 20 of those grads had applied and filled out the applications for the scholarships that were available through the high school. And finally, GPA is not always the deciding factor. I know there was a lot of scholarships that did not have any applications during when I was in high school, because nobody applied, because their GPAs weren't what was required for that scholarship. So if there's one thing that's missing out, like GPA, I would recommend still applying, because you never know who else is applying for those scholarships. Okay, applying for scholarships. So I always think for any application, give yourself ample time so you're able to check off all of the criteria. The criteria needs to be met. And that's the one thing that I always had, was a checklist of what I needed to complete to get everything for the scholarship filled out. Have a few people for references. Ask them as soon as possible, allowing them enough time to fill out their portion. This is in general for any application that needs references. Make a list of people that could be potential references, so you have people that you can contact. Make sure to get the information of how the reference letters need to be submitted, because your references may have to submit them separately. I know for specific scholarships, the person that I asked to give the reference letter actually had to log in on a separate account. So that's just one piece of advice. For the 4-H scholarships, everything just has to be in the same envelope and sent to the 4-H BC office. And to touch on the budget, I found that for me, it was really good to look at what my tuition cost was going to be and my living cost for the upcoming year, which for residents had a mandatory meal plan. So that covered my living and just the food that I was going to eat. So that covered most of my expenses. Plus, I added on the extras, like I knew I would always need snacks in my room, and I budgeted at least 2 trips back home to BC. I also added the money that I earned from my 4-H projects and from my summer jobs. For those that are on the fence about their living arrangements, or even the school that they are going to attend, I would recommend looking at what residence will cost and the meal plan that it entails and averaging it. This is the best way to see what you will most likely be paying for living. And this doesn't mean you have to live in residence, but I like to give the example of residence. And this is the easy way to budget, as residence is usually the highest priced accommodations close to campus. And remember to add in the phone bills, gas, vehicle insurance, parking. Parking is a major cost that I have found in the past couple of years. Like last year, one of my floor mates was paying over $100 for a parking spot near near our residence, but in like a 5-block radius and without a plug-in. So everyone has different budgets, and I know like nobody's budget will be the same, but these are a couple tips that I've learned over the past couple years. And after receiving a scholarship, it's best to write a thank you card or letter. It seems like it's the last thing on your brain, like after you've received everything and going to university. But this is like a huge thing that I would recommend doing, as this is thanking whoever has awarded you the scholarship. Plus, it shows your appreciation for them awarding it. And then it shows that the importance of the continuation of the scholarship or the fund. So it's really important, and it feels really nice to send a thank you card. And I'll hand it back over to Jarrett.
All right, thank you very much, Hannah, and again to Fred. Just to reiterate some of the points that you guys both mentioned. So it is extremely important that you are including all of those pieces to your application and to ensure that the selection committee can assess your application to its fullest. And then again, what Hannah said, I think it's a pretty cool opportunity you have to earn assistance towards your education and your future and your interests through all the hard work you've done in 4-H. So definitely take advantage of those scholarships that are available to you, and don't wait to apply for those. All right, so that is mostly all the information we have for you today. Just to recap some of the things we talked about, I wanted to again highlight some of the resources that are available for you to help with scholarships. So again, the 4-HBC Opportunities Guide and Application Package, publication number 129, is available for you, as well as both the scholarship pages on the 4-H British Columbia as well as the 4-H Canada website. Check those out to help you ensure that you have all the information, dates, deadline, criteria for all of those opportunities. If you do have any questions, I encourage you to talk to your 4-H club leader or district key leader, and they'll be able to assist you. Otherwise, you're free to contact the 4-H British Columbia office, and I have listed both the email and phone number for the organization. So if you contact 4-HBC, they'll be able to put you in contact with someone who can assist you with your questions. All right, just before we wrap up, Fred, Hannah, did you have any final thoughts to share with the audience here?
I think about the only thing I could add on things, Jarrett, is it's very heartwarming to see the number of applications that come in each year for it. I strongly recommend to everyone to apply, and like what Hannah had said, apply for every scholarship that you can possibly find to apply for, and look forward to seeing your applications and hopefully being able to award scholarships out to a maximum number of members that we can for the year.
Yeah, I would just say any opportunity, apply for it. Scholarships are a very good thing, and like just the relief I've had over the 2 years I've been in university to know that I have scholarships to pay for my tuition and books is really nice to have. So apply for the 4-H scholarships, and it will be very beneficial for your future endeavors.
All right, thank you again, Hannah and Fred, for sharing all this tremendous information on this topic. Thank you for watching this video, and we will see you next time.